Good morning, afternoon or evening, and welcome to the 0AD Pro League 1v1, and we are now looking at Week 2's final, which is between FFM and ValihrAnt. So in the north we have FFM here in the red playing as the Gauls, and in the south we've got ValihrAnt now, who'll be playing in blue as the Romans. So let's have a quick look at how they both got here. Well, they both had more difficult first games than they did second games. Both sailed through their semi-finals, but the first game FFM probably should have lost to Badasuit, to be honest, but managed to come through with a victory, so well done. And ValihrAnt had a slightly tougher game against Mark Oral than he had against Pudding, but still comfortably won. Now, the interesting thing about that is that Pudim actually took out last week's winner Stockfish in the first round with an absolutely exceptional performance. Really, really good play, and I'll probably do a video on that game because it was such a good display. So if we have a look now quickly at the table at the beginning of at the end of week 1, beginning of week 2, you'll see that Stockfish is on top, but because he lost in the first round, that's not likely to stay as it is, and Carthage is just behind him, and then we've got FFM and Mark Oral tied just below that. So now that we've been through how we got here, let's have a look at the map and the game itself. So we've got, as I say, in the north, FFM. Now he's approaching this, looking at it, he's getting women together, and he's just started to get some cavalry. Now the interesting thing about this map is that you don't start with resources right next to your civic centre like you do ordinarily. So you've got berries, but they're scattered here, here, over here, a few round here, and also plenty of animals to hunt, that they're all in and amongst the wood. So that's another thing that you need to bear in mind, is that you can produce a lot of cavalry, and he started not producing a lot, but he has produced extra cavalry, noticing that he can get a bit more food. And looking at that, you can see, look how many sheep he's well aware of. So from his point of view, it would be very sensible to get a load of cavalry together. In the south, ValihrAnt's playing a very different game. He is essentially just going 100% producing women at the moment, which means he's got a population advantage, but it's a purely economic advantage. It's not going to be any helpful militarily. So we have another interesting thing about the map, is that all of the mineral resources are right on the edge of the map. So we've got some gold here, metal here, again right on the edge, and on the other side the stone is also on the edge. So there is a central lake, but it's only useful really for fishing. There's not a great deal of other resources around there, although there is some stone there and there. And if we just look at, you can see ValihrAnt is doing some scouting, and he's noted that FFM has some cavalry. Now ValihrAnt up to this point has not been producing cavalry, but lo and behold, as soon as he sees that, he starts to, and that's a great example of very good reactive play. He's noticed that he's going to be vulnerable, essentially, and if you see that your opponent is producing a lot of cavalry, then chances are they're going to use it to harass you. So from his point of view now, he's just going to produce cavalry to make sure that if and when that attack comes, he's well placed to defend it. So very sensible play. And let's see if that attack does indeed arrive. As we can see here, FFM continues to produce cavalry. He's already got quite a lot, and he's got a farmstead very as close to the edge of his territory as he can, which is very sensible, so he can deposit his food quite quickly. And it looks like he's going for his attack now. Now ValihrAnt at this stage has only 4 cavalry, so he's not in. He's going to take some decent micro to defend himself here, and as you can see, this is good play on that guy. He's running him away, zigzagging, which means he's less likely to be hit by the arrows, or the spears rather. He's taken advantage of the fact that his cavalry are lancer cavalry, so they won't have that issue, whereas FFM's cavalry absolutely will. So you see his cavalry charge in there, and then he runs them away. But now, if we look, the tables have really turned there. FFM is actually is continuing to send reinforcements. So let's just have a look and just check he is still going. Yeah, he's still producing, which is sensible and it's good play. But this was kind of the way that he got to the final as well, was through harassment. So it's unsurprising to see him follow the same strategy. But he is coming up against a very, very good player in ValihrAnt, who's certainly in the top 3 players, if not, well, he could conceivably be seen as the best, but I think Borg still retains that title. But he's certainly overwhelming favourite in this game. Having said that, Stockfish was overwhelming favourite against Padim in the first round, and Padim was absolutely brilliant. His defending was superb to turn that game on its head, but you can see already the tables are really turning here. He's struggling. I think a sensible approach here would be for FFM to pull back. He's actually just sending people in 2 at a time now, which this is a lost fight. Stop it. Basically, you need to get out of there. I don't know that he is. I mean, the really sort of thing that just stands out is how well ValihrAnt has managed to continue collecting resources. He's managed to keep people safe. If you look through that whole thing, he only actually lost 8 units, whereas FFM lost 15. And oh, here we go. And he sends his troops in. He's got double the population that FFM has at this stage, but FFM is quite sensibly trying to. He's going to see his horses be killed, surely. No, he's got them back. Or is he? The race is on. If we have a look at the population, FFM is really struggling for soldiers. He's not really got a lot in the way of citizen soldiers, so he could do with just getting himself out of there. While ValihrAnt, who's got a really decent economy, he's done well in terms of making sure that his food stays. His food supplies are still very, very high. His wood not so much, but he's starting to remedy that, and he's had to build some houses. But he's got decent food. He can still produce women, and is also training soldiers. So if we look at the thing here, you can see that FFM's not got the same kind of economic situation. He's got a virtually finished but not quite finished tower, and he's really struggling for food, so he needs to get some more food going as quickly as possible. And I'm not sure that, I think that woman's dead. Yeah, she is. And that's the thing with these spear cavalry for raiding, they can be absolutely lethal. So he's going to continue to harass, no doubt, with this small group of cavalry, because FFM's not in a great position to defend himself, unfortunately. So from his point of view, this is good. Now this is exactly what he wants to see. He's getting finally some food, and he needs to get that moving as quickly as possible. He doesn't have the farming upgrade, but he has gone to farming. When there's so many berries around here, these people should not be farming. They should be collecting these berries. They'd be much, much faster. And now it looks like ValihrAnt is starting to spread his wings a little bit. Let's have a look and see what's happening here. Yeah, he's building a dock. It's another very, very sensible move. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 like schools of fish, for which are 1,000 fish each. We've got 5,000 food there. He just needs to get the dock built, get some boats, and he's in control of that. And also it'll act as a storehouse for this wood. So that's a great way to get an expansion outside of your territory there. Excellent play. Well done. And he's, in terms of population, he's now got almost 3 times the population that FFM does. They really need. It's going to be tough. FFM was an underdog coming into this game, and it's going to be tough for him to basically stay in this for that much longer. Yeah, ValihrAnt continues to produce more cavalry, which will be useful for him. I mean, the good thing about this map is because of the amount of animals to hunt, the cavalry aren't. They don't become like a burden in the way that they can in other maps. If there's nothing for them to hunt, then they're just essentially wasted resources unless they're being used to attack. I mean, he's briefly stopped harassing, but I think the cavalry that the FFM has are inferior to the ones that for ValihrAnt, and they're not just inferior in quality, but they're in number as well. They're going taking a bit of a beating. So I don't think really, to be blunt, I don't think there's a way back for FFM at this stage. He went basically all in on that early rush, and it didn't really pay off. I think he either needed to make it happen more quickly. Oh, we've got, sorry, a second thing, just lost my train of thought briefly there, but this idea of this kind of pincer movement, he's drawn all of FFM's soldiers over here, and these guys are just going to basically massacre his citizen soldiers and his women there. So that pushes him down his population again. Very, very good raid, well coordinated. Split his cavalry into 3 groups, and this. Well, these guys have all been promoted, so they're at a higher rank. But this, I think we can safely say, this is a last throw of the dice. He's just going to throw everything at ValihrAnt. He's not producing from there. He's kind of producing from there, but this is a tiny force against an absolutely huge force. It'll be very, very unlikely that this will do anything other than see him basically wiped out, and that I think we'll see happen. There were 7 of each of spearmen, skirmishers, and cavalry skirmishers, and there are now 6 of each. His kills are going up, but ValihrAnt's going to, all his spearmen will be gone very shortly. There's not really any way back. Here his population's down to below 40 again. ValihrAnt continues to grow, and he can reinforce from multiple barracks and has a strong economy. FFM not so much, and that's the end of that. Somewhat disappointing for FFM, but just a really solid display from ValihrAnt. Nothing super special, but it was probably to be expected. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see if ValihrAnt plays in week 3. If he doesn't, then it opens up the potential for people to pick up points. But if he does, then there's a good chance that he'll win, unless we get him against, say, Stockfish or someone else. I mean, it depends. I suppose it depends. In a one-off game, you never know what's going to happen. Anyway, enough of that. Let's have a quick look at the table. So you can see that FFM has moved up from joint 4th to joint 1st with his performance in week 2. He's now alongside Carthage, who won a game but then lost. He actually got a very good result against Nani, which I didn't mention earlier. Stockfish, thanks to losing in round 1, drops down to joint 3rd, and ValihrAnt, having played just the once, picks up maximum points, and he's in 4th. And that's it basically for another week. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll bid you adieu. Adeus.